Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you today. First, Sean Did He Do It Combs goes back to court. Another missing woman, and, well, guess who the suspect might be. A story about a dark secret and a double life. And who is going to claim this money? A quick story about this day in history and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, and hit that little bell for notifications of when we go live or put up new content. You'd be surprised how many people say, I'm subscribed, but I don't get notifications. You want notifications, ladies and gentlemen, so that you always know what we're talking about here on Crime Talk, the most unbiased, fact-driven, true crime podcast in the world. All right. Let's go and talk about CrimeTalkSearch.com before we get to today's docket. Very quickly, go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for that background subscription service today. When you do, you're going to be able to do a background search on as many people as you desire here in the United States. And in that report, you're going to get all kinds of information. Is this person telling you the truth? All right? That is going to be the big one. Who are they? Are they living a double life, like a story we'll hear about today? Or are they completely honest with you? Go check them out. When you get this report, it's literally done while you wait. It's going to give you all types of information from all types of public records across the country, all done for you. It's literally like searching all of the public databases across the country for you in one search. And then you're going to get a report, and it's going to have whether they are telling you the truth. How many emails do they have? What's their social media profiles? It's going to tell you if they are a convicted sex offender. It's going to tell you if they have a criminal history. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com. You're going to be happy you did. Check out the people coming into your life today. All right, let's go ahead and open the record for October 10th of 2024. First on the docket, Sean Did He Do It Combs is set to appear in the Manhattan courtroom Thursday. And this is all in regards to the sex trafficking and racketeering case that keeps Mr. Combs in custody. But the attorneys are saying they want a trial as quickly as possible, possibly as early as April. So Combs is going in front of a federal judge at 2 p.m. today to discuss the potential trial date and set some timelines when the feds will return over voluminous reams of evidence to the embattled entrepreneur. Now, the ongoing probe into Combs has produced several terabytes of electronic materials, including from the Bad Boy Records boss, seized phones, laptops, and hard drives that the feds have started divulging to his legal team on a rolling basis, prosecutors said in a letter to the judge on Wednesday. And the feds made their first data dump to Mr. Combs' attorney on Monday, turning over the alleged sex traffickers' phones seized by federal agents back in March, and a complete set of search warrants in the case and information on 2 of his iCloud accounts. Prosecutors expect to, within the next 30 days, make rolling production of evidence gleaned from Combs' hard drives, plus materials from searches of his homes in New York, as well as LA and Florida. There's also going to be information that was seized from his hotel room when he was arrested on September 18th of this year. Now, Combs intends to request that his case go to trial either in April or May of 2025, and his attorneys also stated in a letter to the court they would prefer sooner rather than later. So the feds responded to that statement that they will be available for trial on whatever date the court sets. Now, the attorneys also filed a motion late Wednesday accusing the Department of Homeland Security of leaking secret grand jury information to the media, which they argue damaged Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial. Now, Mr. Combs obviously has pled not guilty, and we will give him that presumption of innocence, even though the indictment reads somewhat poorly, I must state. All right, it doesn't read well on paper, that's for sure, but obviously he has a right to confront and cross-examine his accusers in court if they are willing to come. Now, Mr. Combs has been ordered held without bail, and he is at the Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center. Apparently not a very lovely housing facility. That's where that guy named Jeff wound up suiciding himself. Hopefully that doesn't happen to Mr. Combs in this particular situation. Mr. Combs is also accusing the feds of leaking the 2016 footage that showed the towel-clad Mr. Combs brutally beating his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hotel hallway. The Combs attorneys claim that the Department of Homeland Security agents undermined Mr. Combs for 7 months leading up to his indictment on the sex trafficking and racketeering charges, and wants the judge to take action. The footage of Combs, who had a towel wrapped around his waist, attacking Miss Ventura inside the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles, was obtained by CNN, and it sparked an uproar against Mr. Combs. Defense lawyers argue that the only entity that could have been the source of that damaging disclosure was the government. It was leaked to CNN, and that's wrong. It's a mortal wound to his reputation. And the prospect of Sean Combs successfully defending himself against these allegations make it much more difficult. Yes, it does, Mr. Combs. Could you imagine if that video had been released years earlier had you not paid off the person at the hotel to hide that video? Could you imagine? All this could have happened much, much sooner. Wait and see. Next on the docket, another missing woman. And guess who the suspect is? Well, meet Brad Simpson. He was booked into custody yesterday morning on charges of assault causing bodily injury, family violence, and unlawful restraint. His bond is still pending. Now, the Olmos Park Police Department is searching for his wife, Suzanne Clark Simpson, who has been missing since Sunday. Now, a neighbor told the police that they heard screaming and saw a fight between Brad Simpson and Susan Clark Simpson before she was reported missing, according to an arrest affidavit. Now, the affidavit states that Brad Simpson reported his wife missing to the Olmos Police Department, and her cell phone apparently was also missing. The affidavit lays out a timeline of events regarding the disappearance. It's alleged that on Sunday, the couple attended a party at the Argyle on Patterson Avenue before returning to their home, which they share with their 2 children. A neighbor told police that between 10 and 11 p.m. on Sunday, he heard arguing outside his bedroom window that became louder and seemed louder and closer to the window. When the neighbor looked out the window, he saw the Simpsons in a physical altercation, according to the arrest affidavit. And the neighbor said that Suzanne Clark Simpson was trying to get away from Brad Simpson as he tried to pull her down. It appeared as though Brad Simpson was clearly attempting to keep Miss Simpson from running away, according to the neighbor, all according to the arrest affidavit. Now, the neighbor also told police that he last saw the couple walking westbound. The neighbor went outside to investigate, and a short time later, he heard 2 or 3 screams from a brushy area east of the home, according to the arrest affidavit. About an hour later, the neighbor saw Brad Simpson start his black GMC pickup truck and leave the house. The neighbor told the police that Brad Simpson returned about 2 hours later, and then at 3 p.m. on Monday, their children's school called Brad Simpson and advised that his children had not been picked up from school. Now, Susan Clark typically picks up the children from school, and Brad Simpson told police that himself. Well, on Tuesday afternoon, police interviewed staff at the school where the kids go. The children told the staff at the school that their parents were fighting and that her dad assaulted her mom and took her phone away. The children also said that Susan Clark Simpson had a bruise on her elbow. Now, the affidavit adds that Brad Simpson had been uncooperative with the investigation and did not show up for a follow-up interview. At some point, Brad Simpson went to his ranch in Bandera County and appeared to be separating himself from his family. Well, the police chief there in Olmos said that Brad Simpson's relatives had called him and apologized for all the problems that he has caused. Now, as of Wednesday morning, police have not located Susan Clark Simpson. And at an early afternoon press conference, the police chief said that authorities were asking for tips about Brad Simpson's 2019 black GMC Sierra and whether it was seen in suspicious places on Sunday evening. He says volunteers who showed up to help search for Susan Clark provided nothing as far as any clues as to her whereabouts. It's always the husband, ladies and gentlemen. It's always the husband. Yes, always the husband. And there's always something deeper going on. Did I mention in that CrimeTalk search where you can see how many emails somebody has? Why do you need all those multiple emails? Is that one for each of the dating site apps? It's going to get interesting. Always going to get interesting, ladies and gentlemen. The missing women cases, and particularly the blonde missing women cases, seem to attract more attention than others. I don't know why, but it just seemed to happen that way. Next, some dark secrets. A South Carolina man stands accused of murdering his wife, and some secrets emerged surrounding an affair that he had with their roommates while raising a secret love child. That's right, Jessica Barnes vanished back in August from her home in Pendleton, South Carolina. Her body was discovered about a month later, about September 20th. Her mother, Celia Van Varna, reported that her daughter went missing back in September, and she hadn't seen her since August 1st, according to the police. Now, police located her remains in a wooded area in Pickens County near Twin Lakes, and the coroner's office ruled her death as a homicide and said that she died by strangulation. Now, her husband, Brandon Barnes, and her two roommates, Kendall Mims and Victoria Tippett, were brought in for interviews after the coroner's office confirmed that the remains were that of Jessica back on October 1st. All three were charged after the interviews, according to police. Now, Brandon was charged with murder, and Kendall and Victoria were charged with accessory after the fact, obstruction of justice, and misprison of a felony. Basically, not telling police about a crime. That's what misprison of a felony is. Usually don't see that charge other than maybe in federal court. Interesting, South Carolina. Anyway, the two roommates lived with the Barnes couple in a pool house, and apparently Brandon's affair with the two women was secretive and was underway before Jessica had entered into the picture. Police say that Jessica and Brandon began their relationship 18 months ago, and during that time, Brandon was still having a relationship with Kendall because he had a baby with her 6 months ago. Now, Jessica was allegedly lied to about the nature of Kendall and Brandon's relationship, and her husband told her that Kendall was her sister and that the child they shared was actually a niece. You gotta love that. The honesty in that relationship. Anyway, Jessica and Brandon married in January of this year, and then Victoria and Jessica bonded over losing a child when Jessica had a stillbirth on Easter Day. Victoria had lost her child in an accident months prior. Now, apparently this illusion of happiness was shattered on July 31st when Jessica found her husband having sex with Victoria. A day later, guess what? She disappeared. The police chief said in a press conference on October 2nd that the information became convoluted on social media, where all three suspects actively engaged in internet sleuths. Well, Victoria engaged with users on Facebook who would question whether Jessica was and her involvement in the disappearance. She posted a photo of Brandon on September 15th, and one user asked her if she helped him get rid of Jessica. Victoria replied, "Now why in the world would I get rid of my best friend? Y'all have the most ridiculous accusations I've ever heard." Now, and a separate user responded by questioning why she would get involved with someone who is intimate with their best friend, and said that she was already on the weird path. I would second that statement. Anyway, Victoria's linked Instagram account username is BrandonsGirl116. And in a now private post that was registered on Facebook group dedicated to Jessica's disappearance, Kendall, who goes by Kendall Barnes on Facebook, wrote, "The fact that you are commenting and accusing Brandon Barnes of such hateful things when it is so hard that he is depressed, barely eating and drinking in weeks, and he's concerned for her safety. Feeling very unwell and wishing everyone would just let us heal and process what is taking place." All three suspects are being currently held at the Anderson County Detention Center. If Brandon is found guilty, he faces life imprisonment or even possibly the death penalty. The initial appearance for all three are scheduled on December 3rd. That's going to be a weird one. Missing girl, child with the other woman, but they don't tell them. It's her sister raising a child. You can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. You can't make this stuff up, right? Sex, lies, drugs, and videotapes. I think that's what it's all coming down to these days, ladies and gentlemen. That's the world summed up right there. Next, who is going to claim all this cash? A Georgia Sheriff's Department will out cleaning the highway after Hurricane Helene. They found a large stash of drugs and has cordially invited its rightful owner to come and retrieve it. Who's going to claim all these drugs? The Georgia Sheriff's Department was clearing the highway after Hurricane Helene and found a large stash of drugs and has asked the rightful owner to come forward and come get it. Now, while in Davisboro last week during storm response, deputies located these following items in a clearing off of Highway 231 near Washington State Prison. Now, the Washington County Sheriff's Office wrote this in a sarcastic Facebook post. If you would like to claim ownership of these packages, please come see us. And then they give the address of the office there in Georgia. Ask for the lost and found department property. The officers shared the picture of the haul, which includes numerous large bags of marijuana, commercially packed THC-infused edibles, and several bottles of prescription medication. It was not immediately known whether the owner was taking the agency up on the offer. Marijuana in all forms is illegal in Georgia, except certain large cities like Atlanta, which have decriminalized possession of small amounts. Given that there's no legal marketplace in the state, it's highly likely that the packaged items encased in colorful wrappers resembling ordinary candies like Lifesavers and gummy bears originated from a state where such products are legal. It wasn't the first time that this hurricane season that an unexpected bounty has been discovered. During the Hurricane Debbie back in August, 24 70-pound packages of cocaine with a street value of about $1 million washed up on the beach there in the Florida Keys. In June, a beachgoer scouring the North Florida beach for sea turtle nests instead stumbled upon $4 million worth of cocaine bricks, though it's not known how they made it ashore. I know how they made it ashore. They got thrown over when the cops were onto them, and they finally washed up on shore. Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, seriously, I think you need to own it. Go in there, be bold, be strong, and say, I want to claim these drugs because I want to become the dumb criminal of the day for Crime Talk. That's what I want. I want somebody to go do that. I assure you, you will be declared the dumb criminal of the day. All right, onward with this day in legal history. On October 10th, 1909, the city of Spokane, Washington, passed an ordinance restricting street speech and public gatherings, which sparked the Spokane free speech fight. Now, the industrial workers of the World War era, a labor union, began protesting against the city's restrictions, which they saw as an attack on their right to free speech. Now, the group and other groups staged large demonstrations, and many members were arrested. This legal battle highlighted the tensions between labor movement and the local government over free speech rights, setting precedents for future civil liberty cases. Everybody wants to shut down free speech. I don't know why. So although the case was not decided until 1971, it was on October 10th, 1969, that Daniel Ellsberg first began copying the Pentagon Papers, classified government documents detailing the U.S. involvement in Vietnam. The release of these papers to major newspapers back in 1971 led to the landmark legal case New York Times versus the United States. The United States Supreme Court ruled in favor of the press, defending the right to publish the Pentagon Papers under the First Amendment and setting a significant precedent for freedom of speech of the press and limiting prior restraint. And finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Now, a YouTuber crashed a very expensive car in Florida because he was distracted by his phone. When will these people learn? You don't need to destroy a $200,000 car to get clicks. Anyway, 20-year-old Jack Doherty has now reportedly been banned from the streaming site Kick after he crashed his $200,000 sports car, a 2024 McLaren, near Miami, Florida, while live streaming. It looks like he lost control of his car at one point and hydroplaned across the right traffic lane into a nearby security barrier. Now, why would you be on your phone while driving in those conditions? Apparently, any driver could see that the road conditions were wet and visibility was low and dangerous. However, that didn't stop the 20-year-old from trying to appear cool by being on his phone behind the wheel. Not so cool once you hear the screams trying to get the vehicle back under control. Well, a separate post shows in the hospital where it looks like the passenger got the worst of it. He's seen in a picture bleeding from his face and looks quite bad. Anyway, the two are lucky to be alive, but yes, sir, you are a dumb criminal of the day. All right, that's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk. Have a wonderful day, and remember, the Constitution matters.